Hello, record nerds of the internet. I thought I would go through some of my most recent purchases. Let me know what you think. First, we have Tack by Sigur Rós. This is the third time I've owned this record. I've bought this when it first came out on vinyl, and then I sold it when it got expensive, and then I bought the first reissue. And then when that got expensive, I sold that, and now this is back out again, and I decided to buy it. And this is a double LP, and then it has a 10-inch in here too. So that's kind of cool. It has really big, oversized packaging. If you're not familiar with this group, they're from Iceland. And the singer kind of makes up words. It's kind of weird, kind of beautiful, kind of pretentious. But overall, it's nice to listen to when you're just chilling out. This pressing seems a little noisy, at least my copy is. So doesn't mean your copy will be noisy. It just means that there's a potential for being noisy. This is they're on black vinyl. From one extreme to the other, Kool Keith, Sex Style. This was the first Kool Keith record I believe he did after leaving Ultra Magnetic MCs. I don't know in the timeline of this versus Dr. Octagon. This might have come out after Dr. Octagon. So this came out, this is, they only made 300 of these. This is one of the few Kool Keith records I didn't own. It has, look at the little tiny parental advisory on there. They should really have made that the entirety of this album cover because it is, has a lot of gross lyrics, quite frankly. Which is one of the reasons I never bought this, because it's kind of hard to listen to for me. But it comes on this cool color vinyl, which the light is not picking it up nice, but it actually matches quite nicely the cover. I really appreciate when labels do that, when they actually make an effort. And this is a double LP. It's probably going to be kind of hard to find this, because like I said, it was only 300. This mat's going to get stuck in all the gatefolds. Palehead. So this is just reissued. This originally came out in a couple of different singles. If you're not familiar with Palehead, it was an industrial-ish group, kind of a super group. It has Ian MacKaye from Fugazi, Minor Threat fame, and Al Jorgensen, and I think basically the rest of Ministry at the time. And they did a couple of singles. It's really fantastic. I'm not super into industrial music, but honestly, I think that this might be some of the best stuff that Ian has ever done. This particular copy is on this like maroon oxblood color. So that's kind of cool. The mastering on this is kind of weird. It seems like they cut out all the bass. It's really weird, which isn't what you want from that record. You want that thing to pump. So I guess I would suggest not buying that. Let's see, where do we go next? Let's go with the Helicopters are back. If you're not familiar with the Helicopters, it started off sort of like a punk rock and roll band, and then kind of right now, and I guess in their later releases, they just really became just a rock and roll band. If you're really into like rocky rock and roll, for lack of a better term, check out the Helicopters. They play their butts off. This one is limited to 2,000 on clear. I think this was like the indie store edition. It's clear vinyl. I would pull it out if it was more interesting, but it's not. Let's go with this next. Poison Idea. Someone had mentioned Poison Idea in my record store day video. And ironically, I had picked up a bunch of Poison Idea stuff as well. He lives in maybe Oregon, in Portland, I think, which is where this band came from. And they had a record store day release particular to that area, which obviously I didn't get because I am not in that area. This is, I don't know which album. They put out a lot of albums. This is one of the later ones that they put out. That it's a gatefold. TKO Records has been putting out these guys' catalog for a while now, slowly. This one is on a really cool color purple vinyl, like a translucent purple. This is, I think they made 100 of these. And these, I believe, are all sold out. Maybe TKO still has some. What's cool is I got this from the band, and the singer Jerry A. numbered this. They must have got 10 of the 100, and they numbered them 1 through 10, and I got number 2. So that's cool. All right. Guys, don't judge me. Don't judge me. From Poison Idea to Machine Gun Kelly. This is a gatefold. Found this at Walmart. So, ironically, I really like this album. It's sort of like in the Blink-182 vein. I think it's better. I don't really listen to Blink-182. Both of their voices kind of annoyed me. This is like Blink-182 with a guy who can kind of sing better, even though he's kind of a D-bag. This is on pink marbled vinyl. It sounds pretty good for $20 Walmart record. I think it also comes with something else. Let's see. It is so you can hang it up on your wall. It has a picture of Machine Gun Kelly playing the guitar. I don't know why I want that. I probably don't want that. In fact, I know I don't want that. But yeah, so that's what we would call a, what is that called? When you listen to something that's embarrassing. I'll think about it. Lovage. This was just reissued. This is not Nathaniel Merriweather. This is Dan the Automator, and this features Mike Patton and someone named Jennifer Charles on vocals. I don't know who she is. This has been out of print for a long time. It was going for decent money, and then they reissued it. This is a double LP on some, kind of a cool looking, I don't know that this is going to turn up, but this is a real interesting color vinyl. I wonder who, thought maybe Pirates Press put this out, but they did not. They didn't press that. I don't know who pressed it, but it's an interesting color vinyl. If you like Dan the Automator or Mike Patton, it's not too much heavy on the Mike Patton. Mike Patton was the singer from Faith No More, and then he went on to Mr. Bungle as well. So if you're into either of those two things, you might want to check that out. It's probably not going to be in print very long, and it'll probably start going for money. Rudimentary Penie. This is a band I didn't pay much attention to for a long time, and then I started getting into them more. This is something they were put out. It's not a reissue. They actually, I think, are putting out records again. This came out in 2021. It's not as good as the earlier stuff, but it's still still interesting and worth listening to. It is like noisy, chaotic, UK punk. Not for everybody. I guess nothing is for everybody, is it? Speaking of stuff that's not for everybody. This is a band that I've recently gotten into thanks to a friend of mine. They're called Drug Church. I think they're from Albany, New York. I liken it to if the band The Hold Steady or a hardcore band. That's what it kind of reminds me of. This is on a pretty cool like green yellow splatter color vinyl. I recently picked up a bunch of their records because I just recently got into them. If hardcore Hold Steady appeals to you, I definitely recommend checking it out. This is a singer-songwriter from, I believe, Canada. It's a female, despite her name being Billy. I think she still has these available on her Bandcamp, maybe? That's where I got this from. It is basically a woman and her acoustic guitar with piano. It's really well done. Acoustic guitar, piano, sort of stripped down music. She might be best known for like doing punk covers on YouTube. That's how I found her. But she writes her own songs and they're really good. This is on a color vinyl that usually implies that it is some of the pressing plants used to take all of the scraps and melt them down, and you would get this sort of lint colored vinyl, which usually is indicative of a not great pressing. I don't know if that's the case anymore. This doesn't sound particularly bad. It sounds pretty good. So I don't know how many of these they pressed, maybe a couple hundred. So check that out. If you want it, grab it because it's probably not going to be around forever. And then, finally, to wrap this up, Minus the Bear, Planet of Ice. I bought this when this first came out, and then it started to go for money, and so I sold it. And then I hadn't bought it again, as it's been repressed. But gatefold double LP on a white and purple split vinyl. If you haven't heard Minus the Bear, go check them out, I guess. They are sort of an indie band that sort of maybe does a little bit of post-rock sort of stuff. Here's a little behind the scenes. A lot of times when I'm like comparing different components, especially phono preamps, I'll put on something from Minus the Bear because they have a lot going on. They have they'll have driven guitars, but they'll also have some electronic components. So it'll create an interesting soundstage that becomes easy to pick out certain things and to tell where things differ in terms of your gear. At least that's what I found to be true. This pressing seems a little noisy. Again, it might just be my copy, but what are you going to do? So that's it. What have you guys been buying? Is this type of video interesting to anybody? I don't know. Whatever. It would be interesting to me to see what other people are buying. Let me know. Thanks.